What's up, everybody? This is your Canadian Minnesotan friend, John. Okay, we're going to be talking about the U.S. economy and what's going on. It is very confusing times, and and it's because of the war with Iran, especially if you're playing the stock market right now, which is a risky thing to play, extremely risky. Okay, and I'll tell you this, it's because it is heavily manipulated right now, heavily. Oil prices are heavily manipulated. Everything is being manipulated. Things that don't make any sense. It's going the other direction, with the media that's out there and the information that, the Fed's getting, the Federal Reserve's getting. Things are not making any sense. We saw, I think it was a month ago or 2 months ago, where the S&P 500 just rose for 3 weeks straight. It made no sense. And there was no evidence of the war being over. It's just headlines. And so it's a very tough time to play the market right now. So I would just tell you guys, just be aware of who you're watching on YouTube, because whether we like it or not, these people on YouTube do have a responsibility for their viewers if they're good YouTubers and if they actually looked at it like that. I do. I look at it like that because I know everything I say will influence your next decisions, and I want you guys to win. I don't want you guys to lose, and these people want to win themselves. They don't care about their viewers. They want views on YouTube, and they want you to watch their videos. They want to make a shit ton of money. Yeah, that's all great, but how about giving service to people, okay? So I want to get you guys in the right mindset to play the market. I don't want you guys to be losing on the market because of, my fancy thumbnail. I don't have any fancy thumbnails because I think they're really, you have to be a really low IQ person to have, thumbnails, clickbait thumbnails, You have to be a desperate person. You have to be a loser. Okay, that's how I look at it. So please subscribe to the channel and like the video if you hate thumbnails as well, because they do influence us, And if you have a thumbnail like, oh, oil price is going to go up, listen, buddy, you don't know what's going to happen. The market is unpredictable. I want you guys to remember this. The market is unpredictable. It makes no sense, the market. The market is so delusional. Just remember that, okay? There's no, the market's going to do what the market's going to do. Because rich people want to get rich. And rich people want to cover up things. And the commodity space is heavily manipulated. So I know everybody on YouTube right now, I really wanted to talk about this, is saying, oil price! Oh, this is the time to buy oil! Listen, right now the story, okay, is that there's a drone attack. The war is not over. So what the market's going to be doing is they're going to be pricing in interest rate hikes for the rest of the year if this war isn't over. That's how the market is reacting. Every time the war is not over, they're pricing in interest rate hikes for the rest of the year because of inflation. Now, whenever the war is over, the market prices in, maybe it won't be as severe. Maybe there'll be interest rate cuts. So that's how the market's playing it right now. And if you're anyone like me, that loves silver and gold and wants to hedge against inflation and the dollar, then this affects you, okay? I want to go over some things. I got some data here. I'm not, I make these videos with my phone. I'm not going on editing and all this stuff. No. I'm not, I have a life, okay? But I do want to make some content, and I want us to build a community here. I want you to get involved. So, comment your opinion. If you disagree with me, if you like what I say, if you want to insult me, go right ahead. I really don't care. Okay, I work in the trades. Okay, I get insulted every day of my life, and I insult other people as well. So Let's talk about some things that we do know and that we've seen with the market before. Okay, so I just want you guys to be aware of this. There's a lot of YouTube videos now. The YouTube gurus are coming out. Oil prices going up. So certain. Listen, the market in the past 3 months has made no sense. If you would ask me right now, oil price should be at 140, 150, 160 if you were to ask me right now. Because that's what makes sense. The Strait of Hormuz, the conflict has not ended yet. There's no, finale. Things aren't flowing the way they were before the war. So the price of oil should be really high. Countries need oil right now more than ever. So they should be buying it up. So the price of oil on, the paper price is like $70 right now. That is ridiculous. That is so heavily manipulated. So, just be aware that the commodity sectors are so heavily manipulated. Actually, not even just the commodity. Everything's heavily manipulated. So just be aware of that. Be aware of that. And we do got to understand one thing. What does our president want right now? He wants to look good. Okay, he wants to look good. He wants oil prices to go down. He even, said publicly, he's like, the gas companies, if they're charging people too much, I'm gonna put a stop to it, acting like he's the savior, he's the God, Listen, I don't blame the gas companies right now. Maybe they are, but I don't think so. I just don't think so. I think if there's such a big oil disruption, there's going to be consequences to that. Donald Trump. Okay? Now let's talk about things that we do know. Okay, so one of the things that scares people is the inflation rising, right? And even the numbers that the Fed gets, personal consumption expenditures, okay? PCE, okay? The most foolish way to calculate inflation. You know why? My last video I said I didn't really know, but it excludes food and energy. And that rose. Okay, and this is the numbers that the Fed follow to make their decision on whether they're going to be cutting rates or hiking rates, okay? This is what they follow. Okay, so that was 4.1%. That's very high for the Fed. Okay, so now the Fed would look bad if they were to cut interest rates. Okay, what happens if the war is over, which I think the American people, which the American government wants. They want the war to be over. Okay, I don't think Trump wants the war to continue because he knows that we only have so much oil inventory. Now, the more that oil inventory goes down, the more prices are going to rise, I believe. Or maybe not. Maybe that's not what's going to happen, but I do believe there's going to be consequence to that. We don't want to deplete our oil inventory. Here's another problem that we have going on. Israel doesn't stop. Okay, I don't know why we're friends with Israel. If you're an American patriot like I am, I'm not rooting for Israel no more because Israel doesn't seem like a good friend. They don't seem like they have our interest at mind. We seem like we've been providing a lot of service to them. A lot more. Our tax dollars are going to them. A whole bunch of money for funding of military operations and all this stuff. We're just giving them money, helping them with the wars. This war has not benefited the American people at all. So if you're a patriot like I am, don't like Israel. Okay? They're not my friend. At all. They don't stop. Okay, so, and we also have to look at, what's our situation? Now, we're $39 trillion of debt, and we're paying $1 trillion of interest, and our bond market is under attack right now. Okay, it's under attack. And I think it's being manipulated as well, our bond market. I don't think it should be this low. I think it should be very high right now to compensate for the amount of inflation that's happening. So there's a lot of things happening right now with, it's all a disaster in my opinion. This is like, and what they really need right now, the Fed, okay? What they really need is to cut interest rates more than anything, because the bond market, and they don't care about inflation. They care about looking good. So that's one of the problems that we have right now. They're not looking good if they were to cut rates right now. So, you know what I mean? Like, they're not looking good. It's not looking good for them if they were to cut rates, but they do want to cut rates. I guarantee you that. Okay, because the bond market's under attack and interest payments are really high. If you're paying $1 trillion on interest payments, you're not doing so well. There's going to be severe consequences if they hike rates, and we cannot afford a recession right now. We cannot afford it because we're in so much trouble. So you got to remember that. We cannot afford oil prices to go up. And if oil prices are so heavily manipulated, I wouldn't be surprised to see a new article coming out, Sunday night, Monday morning, saying, we got along with them. Because this is what's been happening for who knows how long now. I don't know how long this war has been going on, but this is what's been happening. The war is actually okay. Iran said it themselves. The war is okay. Let's forget about the war. It was just a drone attack, but we still got a ceasefire in place. It's like, what the are you talking about? So don't be so, there's a lot of people saying, this is the time to buy oil. Be careful. What I would do if I were you is just wait and see how the market reacts before purchasing anything on the market. Okay? But if I were you right now, I wouldn't even be playing the market. Okay? And if you were playing the market, I would look at, okay, what's the thing that's going to win no matter what? Maybe not in the moment, but what's going to win the aftermath of all this? And that's hedging against the US dollar. Because inflation is rising, and it's the perfect time to buy things that hedge against the US dollar, and in particular, gold and silver. That's the only thing I would be buying right now, because that's the only thing that wins. After all this is done, the only thing that wins is gold and silver. And that's guaranteed. Okay, not the stock market, not oil, and not all these other things. The only thing that wins is gold and silver. So that's the only thing I'll be playing. Okay, because inflation, the US dollar getting weaker, this is the aftermath, and that's factual. Okay, so if you want to play the market, right now is a perfect opportunity to buy gold and silver. I keep saying it, but it is. It truly is. Okay, so we're seeing gold and silver go down. Beautiful. In my opinion, that's beautiful. I don't know how low it's going to go. I'm not a market technician. Not gay. Okay? If I was gay, I would be a market technician. Oh, I'm sophisticated in graph. That don't mean anything. Okay? They really don't. But the best, just being a logical person, if we look at what's happening, gold and silver win. If interest rate cuts happen, gold and silver win. If interest rate hikes happen, in the long term, gold and silver, in the short term, gold and silver fall. But in the long term, gold and silver win. Bond market is under attack. So if the bond market goes higher and inflation go higher and we get real negative interest rates, gold and silver win. Okay, so you know what I mean? Like everything else is kind of like skepticism. Like with the oil right now, if you were to do an oil play, I would be very careful because oil doesn't win if the war doesn't continue. And you got to realize that the market is heavily manipulated. They don't want the price of oil to go up. So I would be extremely careful with oil. Okay, oil doesn't win if the war doesn't continue. So, and what does Trump want right now? He wants the war to end. So be super careful with these. I find it comical, these YouTubers online. Oh, oil's a good time to buy right now because of graphs. Listen, no, oil is not a good time to buy because it's not a win-win. You want to win no matter what. So right now, if the market does price in interest rate hikes on Monday, we don't know what the market's going to price in because the market is unpredictable. No one can predict the market. Wake up, people. So if the market does price in interest rate hikes, gold and silver fall even more, buy. And keep buying if it just keeps falling, just keep buying. And if you're playing the market, I would play it very slow. It falls one day of the week, let's say Monday, it falls some more, buy some. If it falls even more on Tuesday, buy more. If it falls even more on Wednesday, buy more. And eventually, I do believe there's going to be a reversal. Now, I've already told you what I'm doing. I'm buying, and I'm a risky guy, okay? So I wouldn't recommend this to anyone. I would just buy physical silver if you want to play it absolutely safe, or physical gold if you want to play it absolutely safe. You're going to be winning no matter what there, okay? Whether it's going to be in a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you will win. And that's a guaranteed win, okay? If you want to win, okay? If you want your money to be protected, if you want your wealth to be protected, that's what you do right now. Okay, and this is throughout history. You can look at this, but you don't even need to look at history to understand that inflation's higher than ever, and eventually, people will be hedging against the U.S. dollar. The big players will be hedging against the U.S. dollar, and they'll be making a lot of money off of gold and silver. Okay, the way I'm playing it. I'm buying contracts right now for calls. Strike price $64 for SLV. The contract is due. The contracts are due sometime in October. And the reason I do that is because I believe that this narrative that they have right now isn't going to last. The interest rate hikes, the way they're pricing in interest rate hikes, is not going to last. Okay? And I believe sometime in October, the price of silver will reach $70, and I'll make a lot of money. Because contracts right now are very cheap. So what I just keep doing is, it goes down, okay, I buy some more. It goes down, I buy some more. Because let's say the price of silver right now it gets to 55, it gets to 50. The contracts are going to be worth $1, $1.20, $1.50. Now, if you've been following the SLV, contracts and options, playing that type of game, you would have noticed that the contracts in, just last month, when the price of silver was at 70 to 80, we're at like $10, $11, and in January, when the price of silver went up to 120, contracts were like at $20. That's $2,000 a contract. Okay? So let's just say, and the market can do whatever it wants, right? You know what I mean? The market prices in interest rate cuts. Then the price of silver goes up to probably $70. Okay, they're going to be pricing in something new, and there'll be a big spike up, and that's all I need. I just need a big spike up, and that's what I'm going to be selling. Swing trade. Right, and that's all I'm doing. Market's pricing in interest rate hikes. Okay, I'll take advantage of that. I buy. And then when the market decides to be delusional the other way, interest rate cuts, then boom, big sweep up. I made my profit. I made a lot of money. Okay. So that's how I'm playing it, because you want to win. You don't want to lose. You don't want to be skeptical. Oil is a super dangerous play to play right now. If anyone's telling you to buy oil, listen, it's a 50-50. That's the problem with oil. It's 50-50 because you can't predict war. You can't predict when it ends. And oil price is dependent on whether the war continues or not. And the American government does not want the war to continue right now. Israel does, but the American government does not. That's my opinion. Okay? And, just be careful who you watch on YouTube, because these thumbnails and the way these people talk with certainty scares the living crap out of me. Okay? Because they do influence your decision making and the way you think about this. I want you guys to win. I want to win. And this YouTube channel is all about winning. Okay? That's what it's all about. We're going to win no matter what happens. So that's what I'm doing. If you want to win no matter what, buy physical silver and gold. If you want to make a lot of money with some risk, and I don't think there is that much risk because the contracts are all the way in October. If you want to play it even smarter, I would do December, because interest rate decisions will change. Changes on a monthly basis. You know what I mean? Like right now, we're in the mood of, the market's going down, the market's going down, the market's going down. Okay, whatever. This is the time to buy precious metals. And then eventually when the market predicts that interest rates will be cut, which always happens because the market is like this crazy person on crack. It's going to be interest rate hike. It's going to be interest rate hike. It's going to be interest rate cut. It's going to be interest rate cut. And then you see the S&P 500 go up for a month straight without stop. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay. The market is on crack. That's what it is. So just be aware of that stuff. I want you guys to win. Subscribe to the channel. I want to build a community. I want everybody's voice to be heard. I want you to, even if you want to insult me, insult me. I want to hear your opinion because it matters. Okay? That's what this channel is about. So have a great day and see you in the next one.